Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, and today we're going to do the Roundhill projections for next week. If that's what you're looking for, stick around. So my name is Brad, and I've been doing these projections now for a little while, and I'm going to just go ahead and get right into it. So I said 25, 20, 30. They came out with 24.8, 20 cents, and 30 cents. My accuracy is less than 1%. There's only a 1% or less variance in my projections versus what they actually pay. So there you have it. I'm pretty accurate. So XDTE is going to pay 19 cents. They had one go through the strike there on last Tuesday, right after Memorial Day. There you have it. QDTE, well, same thing. They had one go through the strike day after Memorial Day, and they're going to pay out that 14 cents, thereabouts. RDTE, again, had one go through the strike right after Memorial Day. They're going to pay you 13 cents, thereabouts. So on June 13th, next week, they're going to pay 19 cents for XDTE, 14 cents for QDTE, and RDTE is right there at that 13 cents. So that is the projections. But let's break into some of the other news that's going on in the market. Rex Shares is coming out with MSTR with their MSII today, their coin with COII, and Tesla with TSII. It's 125%, so it's 25% leveraged. They're going to write on 50% of the portfolio and leave the other 50% uncapped. So you don't always have to worry about that pesky NAV erosion. And we'll see how these play out. I'll just go ahead and throw this out. I got an email from Cy from Tap Alpha yesterday. Congratulations on the new baby girl that he had. If you didn't know, he has not been in the office for 2 weeks, and the fund worked just fine without him. So what happens when the portfolio manager goes and has a baby and we didn't even know it? So congratulations to Cy. If I look at the most recent chart, and this is price change, I look at this going, you see that the 0 DTEs are still kind of struggling to get out of the price change, but they will recover slowly over time on price change. If I look at total returns, you can now see year to date that T-SPY is above board. See that SPY is only up 2%, and you can see that the other two are slowly lagging behind, iSPY and XDTE. If I take a closer look, and this is just since they brought out SDTY, you can see that still T-SPY leads the way, and you can take your pick between the others. And by the way, a low percentage. The difference is T-SPY is paying you that 14.5%, and everybody else is paying you that 30%. They're about 25, but the total returns are very similar. That means their NAV has to be going the opposite direction, because where does the money come from? That's giving you some food for thought. The conversation turned to on Facebook about NAV erosion. So I went and said, hey, look, GPIX, that doesn't have very much NAV erosion. Yeah, you don't make the 25, 30% like you want on some of these funds. But what we're seeing, at least what I'm seeing, is the 25, 30%ers, well, their NAV doesn't keep up. Where the 8.5 to, let's say, 12, 14%ers, the NAV keeps up. You just have to sit back and go, do you want NAV erosion or do you not want NAV erosion? Because obviously you want the big payers to have NAV erosion. I guess that's what I'm seeing. If I look at GPIX against iSPY, you can see that, 1 year, SPY is right there. You can see that GPIX is up. And this is all versus SPY. If If I look at total returns on the same chart, you can see that GPIX, SPY, and SPY-I are very similar. You can actually see that SPY-I is actually beating the underlying. And that is only due to not going through some of their strikes. And since they didn't go through some of their strikes, they earned that 1% extra, and there you have it. So somebody asked yesterday, where would be the optimal space for these to finish on their calls for SPY-I or the rest of them? And I just go right below the strike. There you have it. When they're below the strikes, they actually beat the index. When they go through the strikes, they lose a little bit against the index. If you want a little more ROC because it's in a taxable account, then you want to go through at least one of the strikes, at least on SPY-I, so you get a little bit higher ROC. That's how it actually works. And lastly, we're just going to take a look at GPIX and SPY-I against SPY 1 year. You can see it is very close on a 1 year chart. Only time we actually keep up with SPY is in a down market, and that gap gets closer. But in a up market, that gap gets bigger. So we want a sideways to slightly down, or maybe just a slightly up market, so we can actually beat it. But when it's going up too quickly, we're always going to fall a little bit behind. We're not here to generate total return. We're here to generate income for retirement. I just keep on telling you, and I'll just keep on saying it. If you're trying to grow an account, you don't want to be in cover calls. You're getting capped. Don't believe the percentages. If you're in retirement and you don't want to sell shares when the shares might be up, shares might be down, this is a way to generate income for retirement. And lastly, I didn't think you should get into cover calls until 5 years before retirement. It's just me. You can do what you want to do, but it doesn't make sense. Why get capped? So until next time, God bless.